Sir is also author of the book Nature of Forms. Nature of Form. Sir has very vast experience of product and industrial design. Sir has received 50 plus national and international awards for various designs of products and industrial equipments designed at UD Lab. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of IIC, that is Institutions Innovation Council, and Saurashtra University to share your expertise and experience for product designing and the process involved for product development. Sir will be taking the topic, today's topic on idea to product, how to make a product from idea. We welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Parth, and all the dignitaries and students. Very good morning to all of you. I hope my voice is audible and clear.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, today, what we are focusing on this impact series is first session, say idea to product, that we are focusing. And in today's session, if we go with the timeline of today's session, in the first half, we try to go with how to, derive something in this path of idea to product. What are the approaches, or what are the approaches as per say, whenever some product is developed either as national or national or international impact, that kind of scenario. Second is we try to travel with the journey of process, how to do it. When we say idea to product is mere a word, but how to do it, we travel on that path. And in the last session, we take some of the questions of the dignitaries and the students, those who are present right now. Now, in today's series,
Yeah. Sorry, sir, for the distraction. I have muted all of them. Sir, you also need to unmute yourself.
yeah, you have muted me also. Sorry for this. Uh, in today's series, the key takeaway for today's session is if we want to go with, and I will elaborate this in detail also, some of the keywords I will try to emphasize is research, the ideation, the engineering, the prototype and validation, the user experience, and impact. Other keywords that we are supposed to take as a main, takeaway of today's session is what is your benchmark? Next is idea innovation. Next is engineering innovation. Next is validation and standard. Next is how we are supposed to put everything into the nutshell in form of user analogy, in form of the business analogy, in form of the process analogy. So these are going to be main keywords and key takeaway of today's session. Let us start with this. When we say idea to product, we need to, try to have something in form of idea that will lead to some process and that will deliver the product. But when we travel on this journey of, putting something in form of shape and size, ultimately, when we say a product is a bundle of satisfaction, the product can be a shape of size. Product can be in form of tangible as well as non-tangible when it is in form of services. So all will ultimately deliver some, satisfaction towards the need. So we can say in nutshell, a product is a bundle of satisfaction, and at the end of day, it will generate user experience. And whatever the user experience we generate, the level of user experience define the product value as well as the brand value at the end of the day. So when we get started with this analogy, where we need to focus, we need to have a clear vision first. That is the strategy of the work. And before going to the strategy, we need to go with the vision of that work. So this need to be, defined clearly whenever we try to, approach in the journey of idea to product kind of scenario. Now, when we go with anything into the market, whether it is a tangible product or non-tangible product, we are supposed to have key things into the mind. That is to focus is business, user, and technology. We can never neglect anything with reference to another. So always focus should be on user first, then on to the business, and then on to the technology kind of scenario, or in any format, but we are supposed to focus on the user and how this all three are related. Like, is screen visible?
So screen is not visible.
I don't know why the sharing gets stopped. I hope it is now.
Yes, it was, again it disappeared.
That is why I put to login always to have feedback, I hope it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for this. And how all these three things are interconnected is technology, business, and user. Is we can say in the form of, a user want desirability, the technology gives the feasibility, and business gives the viability of all this stuff. Now, how again these all are interconnected is by research and strategy and interaction. So center part is innovation. All these things are related. So you need to identify when we say a word innovation, research, interaction, and strategy. There is always an interconnection of user, business, and technology. So when we say innovation, user is center. When we say innovation, business cannot be neglected. When we say innovation, the technology need to be derived in a way. It is either it is derived through the design intervention or design way, either it is need to be derived by the need and user experience way, either it need to be derived with reference to something is always there in form of a need but nobody has thought of, or something is already there in form of a disruption to happen, but it yet to derive kind of scenario. So, all that thing lead to some of the good technological products or services into the market. So what should be, in detail, all this field bring to the market? Like when we talk of technology, we all have some of the things in this regard: engineering, material, mobility, capacity. Business will bring data of business, competitor, the demand of business, whatever we put in form of a market can deliver in form of a finished good and product out of the raw material kind of scenario. But that is one of the basic part, the first level of the business. It can be upgraded into too many data, it can be upgraded into too many different form of tech innovation, but everything drives through the business kind of scenario. Main center part is always user. A user always want everything but free. So something user always focus on, say, ergonomics, anthropometry, empathy, user psychology. That is the most important part. So when we say innovation of a product, so innovation of the product can be technology driven, it can be a business driven, it can be a user driven. There are some of the example already there into the market, and in day-to-day life, we are experiencing all this in form of different formations. It is up to us where we are focusing and how. So the correct approach can be a spiral approach. So we need to have a center focus of user with innovation into the mind. And we need to travel, say from user to business, say from user to technology, from business to technology, from technology to user kind of scenario. But we need to have a spiral approach towards the strategy, towards the research, towards the interaction, and have to identify some of the innovation impact. So when we are speaking all this thing, always have in mind the keywords that I have shared. I again repeat the keyword, that is research, ideation, engineering, prototyping, validation, user experience, impact. And now we try to have how these keywords can, be useful into the journey of idea to product. One of the product we have focused over here is mobile testing lab. Now, what it can do, or what disruption it can make, or what problem it solve to the user. We go with the journey, how all these things are interconnected into the process. So what user want is availability, the treatment, the cost effectiveness. If we focus on the testing lab kind of scenario, that is in the segment of health and wellness. So in medical, we all know, like, it is never be possible to put doctor available to every corner of the India for so many years. Maybe, like, there is a limited number of doctor availability per maybe 10,000 number of people or 50,000 number of people. The scenario cannot be disrupt without the use of technology, without the use of something that is not visible, seems to be not feasible, but can be doable by some of the disruptor who are sitting over here right now. So need to be have a different approach to solve the problem. So have to focus a user, have to focus on business. So business demands all like this. Have to have a technology that, say, technology has been upgraded to a level. It is what we cannot imagine right now, in the direction of robotics, in the direction of smartphone, in the direction of AR VR kind of scenario. And we are implementing this into a different format. For an example, we are implementing technology into, say, entertainment industry. The same technology could have been used into the field of medical, but we need to fill the gap. So there should be a gap analysis in between of fields, and we can research out that technology and impact of that technology into the one field could have been used into the another field at different level and different approach. Now that things slowly brings the balance of, the correct use of technology kind of scenario at different level. Now, if we go with the research, these are some of the data. I need to skip it and make it fast. Uh, uh, See, when we say total number of physicians available in India, so we are, 134 crores people or more than that. So whatever the number of doctors are there today, as well as in future, will always be less to the number of people, something that way. So we cannot do any magic to be into top three or in top five or something like that. So we always need to think not the conventional way, so into the unconventional way. So how we need to go is, say, if we try to produce more doctor, if we try to produce more hospital, if we try to spend more, so data is not supporting, data is too poor. Like, it said like no country for sick people. So India is spending too less on two, and we are not alone. We are, doing the same thing what has been done from years by many other countries. So we cannot repeat what others have done in form of strategy, in form of, the policy decision making or something like that. So these are the data. So what my point over here is, so whenever we find adversity over here, always do opportunity analysis. So when we say adverse number, it is good. Why? Why? Because there is an opportunity to solve the problem over here, and we are 134 crores. So there are 134 crores idea can be possible to solve this problem. Only we need out of 134 crores, maybe 1% of innovator in this country to work on some ideas and to solve the problem rapidly. Like if we focus on how all this technology or intervention is needed to save the life of people, basically, like then we need to focus on why people die, like how what are the causes of death of people. Then somebody might be focusing on maybe say cancer, maybe say diabetes, maybe say TB, but we should not go with hypothesis, or we should not go with some of the numbers that are visible and feasible right now, but we should have the data with concrete research. So these are top 10. And how this can be prevented. So chronic cardiological diseases, the heart diseases, the diabetes, all these are the problems which cannot occur if we go with the preventive measurement, if we go with the right detection, the early detection, the testing and scenario. If we do test on time, then people lives can be saved. If we have data in our hand, the data can save the time of hospitalization. Data can save the time people need to have the spending cycle on some medication, spending cycle on healthcare and wellness kind of scenario. So we need to focus too many things over here. Like we need to go with the the analysis of the process. An analysis of the process need to be done into the design way. So when we need to go with the healthcare kind of scenario, so whenever we are going to hospital, what is happening? Like what hospital do? You become sick, so you have some symptoms. Say you have a cough, or a seasonal problem. You go to hospital. What hospital will do is give you a number and say wait, and then you will get some detection process. In detection process, usually like आपका जीभ दिखाओ, आंख दिखाओ, and दग all that analysis. I mean to say these are standalone process. So standalone data that we are supposed to take from any patient. So when we take the data, we know the current condition, today's condition right now. And based on data, the doctor or the medical practitioner making decisions. So first thing we want is the data out of the patient. In that data or collection of data, we don't require anybody if technology support. Based on the data, the doctor is evaluating whether you are sick or not. If you are sick, you have this disease or that disease, then you require this medication or that medication. So doctor is a software. So first part is collection of data where technology can do a disruption. Second part is a doctor where a doctor is a software. So the based on the data, the software can tell you you have this or that sometimes. Why? Because we can go with the standalone kind of scenario. So out of standalone, we can derive more than 70 percentage of time. Like you don't need hospitalization, you just need medication. So it can be solved fast kind of scenario. So if we focus in detail, then what we are supposed to go is have a data, go with some of the some of the technology where right now we are playing the cricket in 3D virtual game where players are visible into 3D AR and VR. Why cannot we try to have AR and VR of doctor in 3D? That is proposing the patient. Like think of a scenario, somebody in a village, sorry, just have a habit to get instruction from doctor only. They will not listen to anybody else. So they go to a hospital where there is no doctor. Why? Because we cannot make available of any doctor to them. But there are doctors available from AIMS kind of scenario, which are presented in AR VR for an hour to the village. Say somebody is asking to the doctor and doctor is present in 3D avatar, and doctor is instructing the people like what to do in this chronic disease, how to take medication. So that empathy is needed towards the patient in villages at the area where technology cannot reach, and we cannot do innovation today that can solve the problem heavily in next 5 years. unless we think of disrupting the system, unless we think of using the technology in different form, in highest form. Perhaps that is one of the way to, implement the technology and save the life very fast. Like in this scenario, we have built on some of the thing in which, like, all this technological way, the medication, the health and wellness facility, and the doctor should be available to every part of India, say within a 100-kilometer circle, and India will be divided into that 100-kilometer circle, and within that 100-kilometer circle, there is a range of doctor. Right now, we are giving, like credit to movies, 4-star, 3-star, 5-star kind of scenario. So the range of facilities, including the doctor, including the medical facilities and medications, say 5-star, 3-star, 4-star, all star need to be available in that 100-kilometer circle in virtual way, and whenever it is needed in actual way. And how the technology need to be done, then we need to define the statement reverse, like we need to make that available within next 6 months only, not more than that. Then do anything, like forget about the process, forget about who is doing, forget about how you are doing, but there are the system in which there is a business, there is a technology, there is a user, solve the problem within 6 months, have to do it kind of scenario. Then how you can do, then you need to process all this thing very fast in disruptive manner, need to use different technology. Right now we are talking, internet of things, industry 4.0, but all this thing cannot do the thing fast what is going on right now and create the problem very fast which is there right now. So this technology is of no use if cannot disrupt the things and solve the problem too fast kind of scenario. So we need to implement in different way. We need to generate the business revenue. We need to have the medical tested data. One of the research right now in India is 70 percentage or more than 70 percentage of medical equipment are imported, or we are importing the medical technology from outside. So what we are supposed to do is we need to, produce them. How we produce them? So to do any medical innovation or any medical design, we need data. So we need data of our people. If we want to have, say, a glucometer, that is without invasion, without invasive technology, we need to measure the diabetes. How we can do that? So there are a couple of ways, like, we can have a spectrum of blood and spectrum of urine, or spectrum of your breath, or spectrum of your eye drops kind of scenario. So if we want to develop that kind of equipment, we need a data of, say, at least 1 lakh of people, or say 10 lakhs of people. So who will deliver the data? Unless we have data, we cannot design that kind of technology, or technology cannot be validated. So, we can use this kind of disruptive methods to collect the data. We don't charge the user directly, but we become a Google of this kind of technology, where third party will get the data and user will invariably charge without information. So technology to the user might be free, but we can also, generate the revenue out of data. Why? Because in the next 25 years, India cannot make, the medical equipment without the data of Indian people. So data of Indian people in form of this all diseases segment, whether it is chronicle, whether it is non-chronicle, whether it is standalone, whether it is, the disease in the range which cannot be curable kind of scenario. But we need all that data collected, like to, improve the technology, improve the medication, improve the medical product kind of scenario. So that data can generate the revenue and business. And at the end of the day, what user want is all this thing. So it can be delivered with, smart and hassle free design and all this. So when we say medical equipment and medical services, maybe with some of the physical presence of medical trained staff and virtual presence of level 1 and level 2 doctors, can be possible on medical on or hospital on wheel, or medical facilities on wheel kind of scenario. and can be available to that 100-kilometer circle. If we can divide India into that 100-kilometer circle and try to deliver that, uh, 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 if we can make, say, a technology like food truck and put all the services into that. So before 10 years, it cannot be visible or it cannot be viable. Right now, it is visible, feasible, viable. So something like this, hospital on wheels may not be visible right now, but we need to disrupt. So today's youth should not, go to past to validate the idea, but today's youth should travel to the future. And what idea they try to identify in 2050 and 2075, they need to validate that ideas into today's environment. Even if you fail doing something, you deliver something which is maybe, take time to prove, but you will make your mark doing that kind of scenario. Now, see, this is what we we try to say in form of a process that can define a system. But when we say idea to product, and when we try to focus on a single product, then how to do that? Like, what is the process of traveling from idea to product, and how fast or how effective it can be done? And at the end of day, whatever the keywords I had given, the major keywords was user experience and impact. So ultimately, how we can generate that user experience impact with the process. So let us go with this. Uh, One of the case study, this is the journey of UDealer. When we focus on, say, design for life over here. So idea was the research suggesting like India was the country in front, like in top 5 countries where baby life cannot be saved or neonatal death rate was highest from 0 to 72 hours. Like we are ahead of Nigeria, we are ahead of Bangladesh kind of scenario. And research suggests we only need 3 equipment, that is phototherapy machine, neonatal warmer, as well as neonatal incubator. So how to solve that problem with the product, how to go with the journey of product innovation kind of scenario. So, as I said, the keyword of research, the ideation, the engineering and prototyping. So this design process of any product can be divided into this. This number will vary product to product and person to person. So in nutshell, we can go with this numbers: the design research, the concept ideation, the product detailing, that is engineering, and product prototyping. Normally in India, everybody, like every business, is more focused on the last two segments, that is product engineering and prototyping. But we should always focus on design research. So now I again emphasize on some of the lines takeaway. That is, never ever do any work without research. So always focus on research. So say whenever you start something in form of a process, and whenever you try to finish that process to achieve something, always ask one question: what is your research? Second part, always ask one question: what is your benchmark? So research cannot deliver unless you have a research benchmarking. So what I mean when I say this, like what to design is this: we need to have a research of all this thing. We need to have a competitor analysis. We need to have a product mapping over here. We need to have some of the business research of what we are supposed to do and how it is into the segment wise. We need to have the market study. We need to have the brand study. We are not alone. Everybody is there into the market. So we cannot re-innovate the thing or reinvent the thing. So we need to gauge the existing brand, and we are supposed to be beyond this existing brand. So we need to map the product. So again, my question is, what is your benchmark? Now here is your benchmark. So whether my benchmark is GE Healthcare, whether my benchmark is Phonics, what is my benchmark? So I need to have the research. And one of the question is, what is my benchmark beyond which I need to deliver and start working? So that way you cannot be into the circle where you are re-innovating the thing. So always have your research and the question, What is your benchmark that is needed? When we go to user research over here, the user is a neonatal baby that is maybe 5 minute old, maybe 10 minute old, maybe half an hour, 30 minute old, or something like that. We cannot, which who cannot deliver the feedback, which we cannot talk about what is right or wrong about the product. Who have to, use the product as it delivered by the designer. So it is a responsibility for the creator how to deliver, in a way in which the baby is talking to you and giving the brief. They want this, they don't want this. So you need to listen to that. So it is said to be said as well as unsaid need, and from there. So everything you need to detail out into the research. Normally Vermeer and phototherapy are only for one baby, but this is happening in our country as well as the Asian countries near to us. This should not happen. Morally, it should not happen. Now, when we say user research, so we need to collect the data, go to hospital, interact with the product and all. Then second stage is ideation. So once we get completed, we need to go to ideation. So in this stage, always ask a question when we try to go to ideation. What is your idea innovation? So ideation is just not mere, the sketching, the shape analysis or something like that, but we need to have impact in form of shape, size, the design, the methodology. So use your research, they use your datum, they use your, the every data available that you have taken. Use your empathy, use your the mindfulness of being that child, the mindfulness of being that nurse, mindfulness of being that doctor, mindfulness of being that machine, as if you are the machine, and how you are interacting with all this thing. By that way, try to innovate the idea. So that is ideation part. We need to go with multiple concept. There is a heavy rejection. So when you go to 500, the 400 get rejected kind of scenario. So when you travel this journey of ideation, you will innovate yourself. You will innovate your process kind of. You will become a designer in this journey kind of thing. So we need to put some of the idea into the sketching, then it go to engineering, modeling, and then design. So whenever we go to engineering phase, always the second question is, what is your engineering innovation? So we need to go with the USP analysis. So over here again, that question matter. What is your benchmark into the research? So when we have benchmark something, so engineering innovation will always be beyond the benchmark kind of scenario. Some of the thing is here. I need to travel fast today. So it is in detail, like, all the USPs that has been not there into the product. Some of the USPs has been upgraded and given in the very cost effective way. The first proto validation, the alpha validation, the beta validation, go to market, then it is validated into the hospital at different places, and then it need to be validated in form of a brand also. So it has been to CI and winner of CI Design Excellence Award into the medical category. This was the first medical CI Design Excellence Award to Gujarat for this kind of product. So product into the market. Now see, what I have presented till this point was in form of a general solution, was in form of a wishful or visible and feasible solutions, or was in form of a constraint thing. Now, what actually needed from the youth like you right now in 2022, and in next 25 years, you will travel a journey of this country, where this country is the youngest country on this earth. And this only happens to India once in a lifetime. So in the history of our country, we become youngest in next 25 years. So what the young India and young innovators can do is what not that has been presented to you right now. But disrupt all this thing like up to the next level. So what should be the approach? There is, system, there is a designer and user always want 100%. Designer want to deliver from 0 to 100% anything. There is a system as a constraint in between the user and designer that gives, material महंगा है, market में material available नहीं है, this thing cannot be manufactured, that thing cannot be manufactured, I don't want to increase the cost, or I don't want to decrease my profit kind of scenario. So system always put constraint. The designer always want to deliver anything up to 100%. User always want 100%, but don't want to pay, like everything either free or cost effective, something that way. So what should be the approach? Designer listen to the system. The system derives the data, or system is the trigger point. Like, somebody, MSME unit or somebody into the market. So system trigger the data, the designer design, and user always want this. So what designer do is designer try to derive some X factor. That is the idea innovation, and try to upgrade the demand, or try to upgrade all the scenario where it can meet to that 100% what is the demand of the user without increasing the cost. So how actually it can be done? The phototherapy machine right now is just a machine, is a dead thing, is not needed in that way. This is 2022. We need a product in of, say, maybe 100 years after this today kind of scenario. So we need to travel idea to product very fast of next 100 years, try to make it today. So even if we can make of next 25 years, it is a winning shot kind of scenario. So don't define the wormer or phototherapy machine or anything of today. Try to define all this thing of next 100 years, next 50 years, next 25 years. Try to achieve most of the thing into today's scenario. And how cost effectively it can be done? It can be, another thing to evaluate into the business. Why? Because sometimes we may be hypothetical, sometimes we may be highly neglected in evaluating that parameter into the business. So what was that ideal X was, try to consider, like, baby had born, and mother and father cannot see the baby for next 5 days or next 3 days, or cannot listen to the voice of the baby after baby birth, and baby is just in that machine and into the AC room, and there is no cloth, and is in severe cold. Baby cry, and that cry cannot be heard by parents, and that is the worst thing a designer can design in form of a machine. So we are living in a world where the problem has not been solved basically based on the empathy. So still that is lot to do. Like, problem has been solved in a manner in which it can generate business, it can generate revenue, it can generate sustainability, full stop, not beyond that. Now that is not, designer's approach. That is not the innovation. That is not the innovation by the youth of India. That's what we are looking at. But what it need to have is, this kind of instrument need to have a live video stream, live audio stream, heartbeat audio transfer. It need to be home delivery on demand. Why? Because this is, charge 5,000 rupee per day to any family. Now, if you are charging 5,000 rupee per day, this instrument should be at the home of baby. The baby should not be at the home of instrument. Wrong design, wrong process, wrong idealism. We need to define the technology that deliver to the user. We should not define the user that should accommodate towards the technology. Is the wrong process. So we need to upgrade our thought process. We need to upgrade our approach, and through which we have to define the technology of the next level that need to be traveled to the user. So it need to be home delivery on demand. And the idealism says it need to be mobility by air. Suppose it is demanded at village places, and if somebody can travel with, in non-emergency condition via a drone, or via the air travel, then in neonatal emergency, this kind of technology, this kind of instrument need to travel mobility by air and home demand kind of scenario. If we generate this future in Indian healthcare segment, then that is the future in which our all youth should work kind of scenario. Otherwise, just we try to solve the problem as if visible right now and has been already done by some of the multinationals in different way, and we try to do the same thing again and again, but in better way, in better process, nothing else, no change. So when we travel the journey of idea to product or idea to innovation, so, the key thing is user experience and impact. That was my last keyword I had given. But but what level of user experience and what level of impact. So level of user experience and level of impact that has been designed by India and cannot be delivered or has not been delivered by anybody else before that kind of scenario. So we have to define the Indian design scenario. We have to define the scenario of what we people are thinking and how to merge, our way of thinking, our way of approach, our way of life science, the life thinking, the life thought process, everything into a different form of doing the innovation. So always key stuff is not the process. The key stuff is not the work. The key stuff is not the product. The key stuff is always the user experience and what the impact it can bring at the end of day. So have to focus on product, but more than that, we have to focus on user. Why? Because it is the most important in any scenario when we travel the journey idea to product like this. So, as I said, all this thing can be doable in a product form. So that was one product, but multiple product can be put on this. And previously, when we say test lab on wheels, so here it is neonatal instrument for a baby on wheel, and these neonatal hospitals can be available in that 100-kilometer circle, that 100-kilometer circle that has been divided India into multiple circle, and everywhere this neonatal instruments on wheels can be available. And this is one of the way where India can deliver to solve the problem where our neonatal death rate is highest, one of the highest in 0 to 72 hours in this world right now. And unless we solve this problem and we try to deliver the technology in different direction, I guess we have to think like for what we are innovating, for what we are designing, and we have to have a holistic approach of doing the stuff in every other direction. So one of the the disruptions can be make is if not by air through the wheel on the wheel, the neonatal emergency unit on the wheel can deliver at the place as and when required, and that can travel 0 to 500 kilometers. So that 100-kilometer circle is definitely visible, viable, physical, and business way. Also, it can be possible if somebody think of doing something like that. You know, so that's all for today's session. I try to cover all my keywords that I had given. I try to cover the idea to product journey in system way as well as in product way. Again, I try to repeat my some of the keywords and takeaway, that is research, the ideation, the engineering, the prototyping validation, ultimately leading to user experience and impact. We need to ask ourselves always, what is your benchmark? What is your idea innovation? What is your engineering innovation? And ultimately, what is your impact at the end of the day? What change it make? Whether it is, just needed today and we are solving today's problem, or it is just needed today that can deliver the futuristic values can be possible today kind of scenario. So thank you, and we can now open the session for questions.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for describing the process of journey of product design, idea or finding the problems and identifying the problem and making the product visible. Now, I would like to request the participants that if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask the questions, or you can write it in the chat box, and sir will be answering that question. When it comes to question answer or not, I think all are thinking that what to ask or
Hello, sir.
yes.
Yes, sir, how we collaborate the IoT and artificial intelligence in the research? Hello.
May I know your name, please?
Yeah, Dr. Jaydeep Ramani.
Yeah, good morning, sir. See, when we say IoT, the technology of next level, collaborated with research, actually we need to take research first. I guess I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
actually we need to have the approach of research first. When we say IoT, so maybe it is a system defined or a process defined world, Internet of Things kind of scenario. So
Yes.
when we try to have a research and
Hello.
related to IoT and connected to system, say when we have a research IoT and medical system, when we say research IoT and food system, when we say research IoT and manufacturing system, so we have to have research.
Hello.
The IoT may be a process and implementation to be a field. So Internet of Things is internet connection
Yes, I'm
of
audible.
data, the process, different field kind of thing. But ultimately, at the end of day, what
Yes,
matters
I'm
is how
okay.
that
You are
process
reading
lead to
my dress.
generation of. Hello.
Please,
Uh,
yeah,
are we good to go?
yes, yes, you can continue, sir. But someone is asking the question. I think he is not audible with your audio. You can continue, sir. Sorry.
Okay. So
So,
we need.
hello. Yes, sir. It is audible, you say.
Sir, you need to unmute
Sir,
yourself.
unable to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's
Somebody
audible.
has. No. Somebody has mute me. Anyway,
Okay.
uh, I guess you got your answer.
Yes, sir.
Or we can discuss on any examples that is there in your mind right now. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any questions?
Participants, if you have any questions, the one who is having question can unmute himself and ask the question.
So we can discuss anything that is come to your mind in the next. We have some time left, so I can take two question at least.
No, no. Mm-hmm.
Hello, sir. I would like to ask you one question that how the non-tech students or the persons those who all here are from non-tech background, how they can learn the technique of observation or to find the problem, what basic things they need to keep in so that they can identify the problem or identify the uh, Need that can be solved.
Very good question, Paul. When we say a tech and non-tech, first of all, we should not differentiate in our mind like this. Second, what is the difference between knowing something and having degree or something like that? It is just information. So when we have information and when we learn something, we have been given the degree at tech student or tech fellow kind of thing. When we say non-tech fellow, it is not a perfect word. The non-tech or tech, somebody don't know something right now, so say it to be a non-tech. If somebody want to know, it is all there. Right now we are living in the world of information age. So to learn something, we just require 5 hours. Right now we say, I don't know. Give your 5 hours. You know something. You learn something. So you need to be a learner, not be a tech or non-tech, but be a learner. Then start the point. Then whatever needed, just try to understand. When you start understanding something, you need to dissect the product. You need to dissect the process. You need to step by step understanding. For an example, suppose today I don't know what is blockchain. I don't know what is industry 4.0. So I may be a non-tech guy. I may be a person who has been to just school. I had not been to college, and I want to learn what is industry 4.0, what is a blockchain. So what it takes is I don't need a degree to understand blockchain. I need to really go to the information of blockchain, that is the material giving best information of the blockchain. I want to become blockchain expert. Yes, I can be that. I don't need to have a degree holder to be that. I just need to go there, need to understand and start implementing some. So first of all, that this discretization of not having information and having information. Only one thing we need to have in mind: I don't know and I know, and in between that two step there is 5 hours. So you need to be a learner. So become learner. Don't put any label into the mind of tech or non-tech. And when you say observation, so see, we need to be very much sensitive towards the system. I will give you an example. There is a lots of problem going on into day-to-day life. Like one of the problem is potholes, potholes on the road, and everybody is having observation about that. And if we want to solve the problems of that potholes, how it can be done, in a way in which there is a design disruption, in a way in which there is a participative design of society. So now society as a whole may be a mixture of tech, non-tech, want to do, don't want to do, interested, not interested kind of people. But we need to have an approach, a creative approach. That way it evolve into into the people, those who are observing and making, change kind of scenario. So every pathos, this is a world of social media. Like everybody, if somebody is taking pathos and give the name or number to the pathos, upload on the website, and for every upload, like some rewards will be there, unless that pathos will not be covered within some stipulated duration of time by the engineers, by the team of people, by the team of responsible system people. If it cannot be done within say 25 days, the rewards get started. Then everybody start like putting that pathos pictures on some web. So this is a creative approach solving a problem. So when we say observation, there are lots of things going on, lots of problems going on. We observe that thing and had to think into disruptive way, had to think into the different way by which the problems can be opportunity, and need to define a system through which it can be solved very fast, and in creative way, and in that way the entire system will get evolved and upgraded. I believe that answer your question.
Yes, sir. Participants, do you have any other questions? Okay, it's fine. So, thank you very much, sir, for sharing your expertise regarding product design, product development, how uh, any individual can work on it, how it is useful in our daily need. I would like to inform our participants that a feedback link for the same will be shared on your mail ID, and based on that, e-certificates will be provided to all the participants. Also, our second session regarding how to start up and various grants of government for startup is today only. It is scheduled at 3 p.m. Today, and the speaker is Mr. Dhruv Patel from Cradle, EDII. Uh, Thank you, Dabhi sir, for sharing your expertise and also sparing your time to inform the participants regarding practices for design. We thank you, sir, on behalf of IAC and Saurashtra University.
Yeah, thank you, Parth, and thank you all for being in this time span for this session. From my side, I guess we try to cover the idea to product journey. I expect from your side, like, whatever the key takeaway are there, you try to implement the takeaway when you try to approach. And we may be available through the email and websites whenever it is needed in our help. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thanks to all the participants being here. We will be ending this meeting. Thank you all.